We have now entered the period of our serious testing. And it is only the first major test. They will become much more severe. Joseph Campbell was fond of quoting Goethe in his lectures with a line that went something like, "Alles Vergängliche ist nur ein Gleichnis," if I'm pronouncing that correctly, which means that everything that happens in this world is but a reference to the will of God. And so now we have entered into the time of disinfecting. Of urgently collecting our disinfectants and applying them. One of the epithets of God used very often in Indian prayers is Pavan Pavitrata. The seekers pray to God to come as the purifier of the impure. The purifier of the contaminated soul. And this is the moment when our own purity is being tested. Our purity of heart, which includes our generosity of spirit. Our willingness to keep our minds pure of unclean, unholy thoughts, and keep our hearts and minds focused on God and filled with light and with divine love and with serenity, and to share that power, that sense of security that comes from the presence of God in one's heart and mind and body, that alone is the antidote to paranoia. And it is only when we stay in that state that is immune to psychological breakdown that our physical immune systems will also function to protect us completely from whatever contaminants are in the environment. And so do not be confused and think that the physical disinfectants will protect you. They are only a metaphor to remind us of the real purification that must now become complete. Because one inconsistency, one fall, can contaminate the whole Sangha. And so our loyalty to God must be expressed in service to the Sangha, because the Sangha serves God, and through the Sangha we serve the world in this time of tribulation, to be able to send out words of purity and of understanding how to respond to the crises that will now cascade upon us, one causing the next, and all the dominoes of the current civilization will soon fall. Those left standing will be those who are standing for God, and who stand with God and in God consciousness. Purification means egolessness. Purification means one realizes one is, in fact, divine consciousness, not the body. And so no matter what the bodily condition, one understands that one has eternal life as pure spirit. And one can meet whatever is one's destiny with courage, with faith, with trust, with direct knowledge of the presence of God, and therefore of salvation and liberation. This knowledge must be direct, not based on belief, because belief will not be strong enough to overcome the ego's terror in those moments when one has to face the real of the end of Kali Yuga, if one has not fully purified one's heart and one's mind. The only protection we have is complete surrender to God. It is only that wipes away whatever bad karma would otherwise bring about a lower fate than the one that we seek. This is our last opportunity, our last margin of time in which we can achieve that purification before all of those waves of crises hit and make it very difficult even to gather and meditate, or for visitors even to come here. And so we will have to learn to do our work through vibrational frequencies at long distances to support those who will not be able to come because they are under a lockdown of some kind, because they did not arrive soon enough or take seriously enough the need to find safety with God. And wherever one goes, that safety is available if you have completely given your heart and mind to the supreme power of purity, of love, and of the capacity to regulate the dream field such that optimal outcomes are established, and one's auric field is of such strength that it will not allow negative vibrations to enter. But that means one must have become master over the mind's production of thoughts and emotions. And that only happens when the ego has been absorbed into God's presence, God's fullness, God's luminous, silent power. The surrender to God will give all the serenity and all the wisdom and all the power of immunity that one needs. And nothing else will. And so this is the time when people will make the choice of which power to rely on, which power to serve. But the power of money is now futile. And all of the other egoic props and dependencies and false values are futile. The only salvation is by reaching that level of consciousness that is bodiless, luminous, eternal, and able to participate in the trajectory of unfoldment of the dream that this world is. We will continue to function on the level of response that will offer purity at the physical plane level and security. But unless each being controls their own mind and keeps the attention focused on the presence of God and the Shakti of God flowing into one because of one's surrender, one's receptivity, one's absolute openness to being an instrument of God's service, then and then alone will one be able to rest in peace, knowing that one has earned the protection that is desired. And this requires complete purity, which requires complete humility and inner silence and inner remembrance of God in contemplation, in prayer, in karma yoga, so that every action, every thought, every feeling is holy and pure. And this will sustain the energy field throughout the ashram and beyond to be able to protect those whom we love and who have love for God. But our love as a sangha must be unconditional for all beings, not limited or special or partial, and not contaminated with attachment or desire or fear or weakness or any other negative thought form that will depotentiate the ability to be filled with the blissful reassurance that the presence of God offers until we are completely absorbed into God's blissful and all-powerful presence. As every religion has given the commandment to love God with all your heart and your soul and your might, with every thought, with every breath, now is the time when that commandment is being called by God to be practiced for real. Now is the time when the teachings that have predicted this, prophesied it for many years, these days are now unfolding before us. If we did not prepare before, if we did not take it seriously, I suggest that the pattern of reconsideration of that idea that one can live without God's presence in one's heart should be indeed rethought, because only the full return to God will bring peace and protection and the ability to serve others who will be in paranoid states, and others who will require help in leaving the body to be able to return to God in the light. Having a body is not the ultimate value. What you want to have is union with the Supreme Being. That alone assures eternal continuity of consciousness. This is the moment when there will be a culling of the herd and a separation of souls, depending on who is willing to serve God and who is still serving the ego. Destinies are being decided now, not just for those here, but for the entire planet. And if decisions are made from the ego rather than from the fullness of the wisdom of God, then a very different karmic fate ensues. But each one has the power to decide to whom you belong. But now that belonging must be total, not simply external and formal and a pretense. If it is not authentic, it will be of no avail. Each being who surrenders to God fully in your heart with love will become a dynamo of divine light and power. And you will be able to feel secure in any environment in which you are sent. But you must act as agents of the Supreme One, not rogue egos trying to get something for yourself. It is this change of heart, this conversion of spirit, this complete return to holiness, to become a living temple of God. That is what we are called upon to achieve in this moment of truth that we have entered. Everyone has the capacity to make that choice. But you must have the courage and the clarity and the humility that is willing to serve aims and ends that your ego did not plan on. But as the adage says, el hombre propone, Dios dispone. And this is the moment when it is God who is deciding what is to occur on earth. It has been taken out of human hands. We are all in the hands of God. But we are offered the opportunity to become hands of God. And God is now calling all hands on deck here on Noah's Ark. Please use every moment of your day and evenings to meditate, not just while you sit, but while you work and walk and eat and whatever the body is doing. Stay in remembrance of the Supreme Self until you become that, because there is no egoic residue outside of that luminous, silent, intelligent presence. This is our duty, our task as yogis, and this is our redemption. We are called, and now is the moment for us to choose. We no longer have the luxury to fall into Maya. May you take these words of warning as an invitation to the delight of union with the blissful self.